I am Shaquille Bourne, and today we'll be discussing World Maritime Day. Now, World Maritime Day is celebrated by member states of the International Maritime Organization, and this year it is being observed under the theme Seafarers at the Core of Shipping's Future. Now, we have with us Captain John Flores, Director of Maritime Safety, and Ms. Katina Benn-George, the Registrar of Seafarers. Now, Captain Flores, before we get into more about World Maritime Day, please tell us, who are seafarers?
Thank you, Captain, for inviting us for this interview, and thank you for the opportunity of speaking a little bit on World Maritime Day 2021. Seafarers, by the IMO definition, is persons that work on ships, whether it's a privately owned ship or a public ship. So it could be the cook, it could be the radio operator, it could be the persons who work on deck or the engineers. It's any of those persons basically that works on ship.
And tell us a bit more about World Maritime Day.
Shaquille, World Maritime Day is celebrated by the International Maritime Organization every year on the last Thursday of September. And this year it's going to be on the 30th of September, Thursday. And it is basically to celebrate and to recognize the contribution of the maritime industry to the overall world economy. This year, however, the focus will be on seafarers and their contribution to the maritime industry. And I must say, Shaquille, that the maritime industry in Guyana contributes some 78 to 80% of our gross domestic product. So it's a large contributor to the Guyanese economy. And this year, as I said, we will be celebrating the seafarers and recognizing their contribution to the maritime industry. Seafarers generally this year have a lot of problems and issues to deal with because of the pandemic. And the IMO is recognizing their contribution in the face of all of these challenges and difficulties. Because we have had to have seafarers 24 hours a day continue the job, otherwise we will not have power, we will not have medical support, and a lot of other industries that depend on shipping. So seafarers are a large and significant contributor to the maritime industry and to the world overall economy. So that is why this year at the IMO level we will be celebrating by having all maritime buildings lighted up in blue, in the color blue. And that really is to signify teamwork in the industry, basically, and solidarity in the industry. In Guyana, we'll be celebrating that too. We'll be asking all maritime buildings and shipping buildings to have their buildings lighted up in blue. And we're also asking all the ships that are in anchor in the harbor of Georgetown and other harbors in Guyana to have what we call dress ship. That is to display their ship flags in recognition of the day. So that is how we're going to signify the day, September 30th. So that in a general sense is a background to the World Maritime Day. Katy will give you a bit more on what the Maritime Department is doing for the week, because it's celebrated throughout the week of September the 30th.
I think outside of those beautiful displays of blue, people would really want to know what other activities are on the way for seafarers, and as Guyana takes a stance to show solidarity with them on World Maritime Day. So, Ms. Benn-George, this is where I'll bring you in. Can you please tell us a bit about some of the systems that are in place for seafarers in Guyana?
Sure, Shaquille. So, with respect to the activities, as Captain Flores mentioned, we have a week of activities. We'll be on a radio program on the 30th of September. We also have the recognition of seafarers in the industry. It's basically an appreciation program that will also be celebrated on World Maritime Day, where we will pay homage and recognize some seafarers who have significant years of service within the industry. Some of them ranging from 20 to 50 years of service. Yes. In addition to that, we have an essay competition. If persons wish or desire more information on this, they can definitely check out our Facebook pages and they'll get that information. But this essay competition is for school children. So you must have been registered in a school, some sort of formal education within the last year. So those are some of the activities. Well, it ranges from ages 14 to 18. So that's the age range that we're working with. So even if you're in university, as long as you fall within that range, it's fine.
Okay, cool. That sounds exciting. What are some of the prizes?
The prizes, well, we range from educational equipment, computers, tablets, and there's also a cash prize there. With respect to your other question, what systems are in place? So with the establishment of this office, which I hold, the Registrar of Seafarers, we have begun to really engage in terms of seafarers' welfare. That is on the horizon, as Captain Flores mentioned, particularly because of the COVID pandemic. We saw many seafarers really stranded within this crisis. So we have tried our best to initiate programs or put systems in place to start engaging these seafarers, making sure that their working conditions are good. Their crewing agreements, which we call the Seafarers Employment Agreements. It has always been there. It has always been a provision in the Shipping Act. However, because of the nature of the seafaring profession, we find a lot of persons might not have this in place, and a lot of persons who are contracted by private employers, so might have individual employers. Most of those persons, they don't have the crewing agreements in place. For those working for the larger shipping companies, most of them have it, but it's something that we're really trying to manage at this point in time. We even started to have a specimen. Shortly we'll be launching a specimen crew agreement, so persons who might not know what your crew agreement should entail can be guided by that.
And this, of course, will help in the protection of these workers' rights and so on, I presume.
Yes, it will.
What has the response been so far? You said your office is fairly new. But what has the response been so far with engaging seafarers and ensuring that their welfare is kept at a high standard?
So what we have been trying to do is basically, like I said, to put the necessary mechanisms in place. So firstly, informing seafarers that this office is here. In case you have any welfare issues, we're available. You can come into us and lodge your formal complaints, after which we will do our investigations and take it from there. We also collaborate with the Ministry of Labor from time to time for this particular issue. We have really tried to, like I said, ensure that the seafarers have their crewing agreements. Working on that. That is probably one of the top priorities of the administration at this point in time, making sure that they have valid contracts that can stand the test of time.
Okay, that sounds wonderful. And when can we expect most of these policies and agreements to be fully on the cards?
As soon as possible, within another month or two, these systems should be in place. These are just some of the short-term systems that will be in place.
But will there be a requirement for registration so that everyone will be up to speed, or are we using a database that is already in place?
We'll be using a database. So recently we would have published on our website a notice to all persons who engage in the recruitment and hiring of seafarers that they need to inform MARAD of all seafarers employed with them by sending a list of their seafarers, their contact information, and a copy of their employment contracts.
And for those that might not know, MARAD stands for Maritime Administration Department, and that is under the Ministry of Public Works. So, of course, you can find that information on their website. Now, let's delve a bit into the legal implications. Are there any legal implications for ship owners or agencies or companies where seafarer welfare is concerned?
Yes, there is. Indeed. So this whole issue of seafarers' welfare is covered under the Guyana Shipping Act of 1998. And the most important matter, the crew articles. If you do not stick to your crewing articles, stick to that agreement in which you engage that seafarer for, there can be legal implications concerning that.
Well, I'm happy to know that seafarers are protected, of course, under our laws, and now that we have this new department, Seafarers Welfare Department in the Maritime Administration Department, that they have somewhere that they can go and to have their issues directly addressed. But before we wrap up, Captain Flores, is there anything else that you might want to add?
Yes, in a general sense, when Guyana signed the United Nations Law of the Sea Convention, which I want to refer to as the mother of all the maritime conventions, it gave the country the responsibility of ensuring that the seafarers are, their rights are kind of protected. And therefore, on signing that, we had to promulgate laws into the Shipping Act, that the laws that will address the welfare of seafarers, which is what Katina related about earlier. So those laws are already in our Shipping Act. However, there is what we refer to as the Maritime Labour Convention of 2006, which Guyana has not ratified as yet. So we're working soon, feverishly, to ratify that with the Ministry of Labour. Once that is ratified and so on, we will try to define more in specific ways, more regulations that will be put under the Maritime Labour Convention to address specific issues that are not covered, I would say, comprehensively under the Shipping Act, such as medicals for seafarers, such as the very articles of agreement that ship owners will have to abide by once they sign. Recruitment of seafarers, recruitment agencies, and so on. So it's all a work in progress, as Katina said. But there is sufficient, I would say, under the present Shipping Act that is there to protect the welfare of seafarers. And by setting up the office at the Maritime Administration, we are encouraging seafarers to come to the office if there's complaints, if there are issues that wants to be addressed. We are willing to listen, to record, and to take it forward on their behalf to the relevant agencies, whether it's the court or the Ministry of Labour. We will advise them accordingly. And I want to say Katina is working with a lot of energy in this department, and we have seen a lot of activity in the department since its formation.
And it's good to see a young face and a young lady heading that department. But just to let our viewers know that this department set up for seafarers' welfare within the Maritime Administration Department is not just for seafarers within the government, but those in the private sector as well. Katina, you spoke about some of the activities that the government will be showcasing for World Maritime Day that specifically hones in and highlights the contributions of seafarers. How can persons access some of this information if they're interested in showing up to give their support or actually participating?
So because of the COVID-19 pandemic, of course, all COVID protocols will be enforced, and in terms of that, it will not be such an open program for persons to participate in. However, with the collection of information in terms of the seafarers from the different private entities, if we do have another program like this in the future, we do foresee that these persons will be able to benefit somewhat in that instance.
And what is your Facebook page and website? It's
mara.gov.gy. That's our website, and our Facebook page, just check for Maritime Administration Department.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Thank you, Captain Flores and Ms. Benn-George. And this was a special production as we focus on World Maritime Day. It is being celebrated in Guyana under the theme Seafarers at the Core of Shipping's Future. I am Shaquille Bourne. Do have a good day.